This session is going to be on literature review, and it's going to be hands-on. If you have your system with you, you can as well join the session. And let me share my screen. Okay, so it's going to be from the scratch. I hope we don't spend more than 1 hour. I am looking at us finishing before or towards 9 p.m. So okay, let's start. So the issue about literature review is, let me just ask us generally, who can define what a literature review is? Anyone in the call, so that everyone is carried along. Anyone? I believe there was a session earlier where we spoke about literature review, the theoretical aspect of literature review. So can anyone define what a literature review is? Yeah, can just signify by raising up your hand so that we'll do that very fast. Anyone, please? Okay. If there's nobody, I will just brush on that. Basically, what you do literature review for is that you try to check what work has been done on a particular aspect. Try to see what work has been done on a particular field that you want to research on. So, sorry, is anybody saying something? Is anybody saying anything? Okay. So basically, yeah, literature review is you trying to see what kind of work has been done on a particular topic and a particular field. So it's just basically critiquing and researching a particular field and seeing what kind of material is there. Okay, so let's go straight to it. So I'm going to have an hypothetical session here in which I will assume that I'm the one doing a literature review, so you can follow along with me. So the topic we'll be treating today is the role of environmental health let me just say, in fighting antimicrobial resistance in Africa. So let me assume this is the topic I want to do a literature review on. This is the topic, right? So the way I personally do it is I can use this outline just to keep my work organized because I like being organized a lot. So
Is this with our mics?
yeah. Okay, so yeah, let me continue. So let me assume this is my topic. Next thing to do is to try to explore your literature site. So since this is a medical field and a medical side, I'm going to be using PubMed. But depending on your particular field, I know some people are in social sciences, some are in tech, there might be some particular journals or repositories that are dedicated towards that particular field. But because what we're working on is health field, and I'll be making use of PubMed. So let me just try to. Okay. I believe you can see my PubMed screen. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay. Yeah, so I believe you can see my PubMed screen now. So now I said earlier that what I'm trying to work on is the role of environmental health in fighting antimicrobial resistance in Africa. So I will need to use keywords. There are some things that are called keywords. So I know I'm looking for antimicrobial resistance. It has to be in Africa, and I have to relate to the environmental health. So let me just type environmental health. Environmental health and antimicrobial resistance in Africa. So let's just work with that. So yeah, I will use this as my start search word. So when I search for it, and there's something about literature review. If you look at this particular site, it shows you can filter it. For example, I'm checking through the whole issue of PubMed. I'm looking at from 1973 to 2024. I can decide to say, if you look at this chart, it shows us like how work has been done on that particular area. Do you understand? So I can personally choose. Now let me just see the recent years. Let me just do the last 10 years, 2014 to 2024. That's my area of searching. So now look at the first one. Access to effective antimicrobials, a worldwide challenge. So the first thing you read in literature review is that you read the title. You read out the title. So now reading this title, I don't think is what I'm looking for, because it talks about access to effective antimicrobials, a worldwide challenge. So it's just talking generally about antimicrobial. So I don't think that's the first thing I need right now. Second thing is the threat of antimicrobial resistance on human microbiome. So I don't think I also need that right now. So it keeps bringing things that are generic. Do you understand? So now it started bringing around environmental. Now look at it. It says antibiotic resistance patterns in human, animal, food, and environmental isolates in Ghana. This is a review. So I can just try to see what more is this thing talking about. So I click on the link and I try to see. I'll read the abstract, because next thing after title is abstract. So I first filtered using titles. Now I'll start filtering using abstracts. So now it says many articles have been published on resistant microorganisms associated from humans, animals, food, and environment in Ghana. However, there are no reviews that summarize the information on the isolates and antibiotic tested so far in the country. So this review was completed through PubMed. Can you see what they even did in this particular research is also a review on antibiotic resistant patterns in human, animal, food, and environmental isolates. So this is basically an environmental health review on antibiotic resistance. That's what they did in Ghana. This was 20. Let me check the year of the review. It was done in 2020. So now, can we see what they did there? So they tried to, they checked through from 1975 to 2015. They checked through the analysis and they chose 60 articles. Can you see? We are trying to study literature review here, but we are trying to also use an article that was formed based on literature review. Do you understand? So they chose 60 articles in the analysis, and 10% of the articles were carrying out nationwide research on antibiotic resistance. So this is just the summary of their own article, and I actually think this article is very relevant to what you are doing. So once I have seen that this is very relevant, I will need to read through the whole of the article later. So let me just, so what I always do is that I copy the topic and I go back to my Microsoft Word and I paste it there. Then I also paste the link of the article. I use the DOI. Yeah, this DOI is a link. It goes to the, let me click on it so that we see. So this is what the DOI does. Let me see that DOI is already taking us to another. So this is the site of the publication. This is the journal in which the article was published. I can start just download the PDF from here and read through on it. But don't let me just jump steps now. Keep it easy so that I don't get distracted. Let me just stay focused on the review I'm doing right now. So I just copy the topic, go back to Microsoft Word, paste it here, copy the link here. This is the link. I copy the link, I paste it in my Microsoft Word, and you can decide to do the citation, but let's just leave that out of it now. You can always do all those ones later. It's not important. So that means I've gotten my first article right. So let me just confirm that you understand what I'm saying. Can you confirm that you can hear me and you understand what I'm doing? Can somebody confirm?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So now we've chosen one article. Let's go back and let's continue with our literature review. This was the article we chose now. So this is global trends and antimicrobial use in food animals. So this also is on environmental, because environmental health is basically food, animals, humans, and health. Do you understand? That's what environmental focus on animal, the environment, and health. Like it's in correlation with one health, but environmental health is mainly the environmental implications, mainly. So I can just decide to skip these food animals since it looks more of animal health than environmental health. I can decide to skip it. So now, next thing, this was the article we chose the other time. It's antibiotic use in agriculture and its consequential resistance in environmental sources. Simple. This is something we are looking for. Topic is good to go. So since I saw that topic was good to go, I decided to read the abstract. It said due to increase the demand of animal protein in developing countries. So antibiotic resistance is of great public health concern. So we know that this is talking about agriculture and antibiotic resistance, which is an environmental implication straight up. So I know that this is my article. Next thing to confirm is this in Africa? Do you understand? So they said in developing countries. So I'll try to read it and see if they try to have a focus on Africa. I'm trying to read through the article just fast, without wasting time. I can't see anything that talks specifically if their area of study is Africa. So I might try to leave this out of it and try to, this article might be important in my discussion and in my explanation, because I might get more context in how it is used in agriculture and use it in my explanation. But really, it's not really primarily focused on my area of study and some other things. So I can also really make use of this particular article. So I've copied the topic and I will copy the link also. So I can always go back to the article and see what I want to do. So that is how you gradually go and you pick articles. So I think there was a mistake. Yeah. So the next thing, I say keep searching. You keep searching till you go through your whole area. You can see that we have 213 results, total of 213 results that this thing brought for us. So we search through the whole 213 and we keep using the same method. First thing to check for is, does this topic look like it's relevant to what I'm doing? If the topic looks relatable, then you can click on to read the abstract. If the abstract makes sense, then you can go ahead to download the full document and try to read through it. But you can't read through 213 documents. It's going to be exhausting. Do you understand? So once you use the topic to push some away, then you can go ahead to use the abstract to push some away that are relevant. Then you can move on to use the main articles to even push some away. But you have to reduce your work gradually by removing things that are not important. Do you understand? This one here talks about the prevalence of and antimicrobial resistance profiles of Campylobacter species in South Africa, a one-net approach using systematic review and meta-analysis. So this goes about One Health approach. So I don't think it's specific enough for me, but it might still be relevant for the future. I can always go back to it. But for now, I want to stay focused on environmental health research. So next one talks about antimicrobial resistance through the lens of One Health in Ethiopia. Do you understand? This also talks about One Health. So it's not, but it talks about a review of literature among humans, animals, and environment. So this is also a review, but it is One Health. So it covers both human, animal, and environment. It might be very important for me. One other thing I do, you understand, one thing I do again is that when I see an article like this, I can click on it. Then I go and check this article out from the main journal site. So when I check that particular article out, what I do is that I now go to the references of that particular article, try to see if there are some other research works in these references that are also, so I can use the references of this review. You know, somebody doing a review means the person also search through literature and search through journals, which means the person has also filtered a lot of relevant things out, and they'll most likely be things that are relevant to my literature review in this particular person's work. So I decided to go. I think the network is moving very slow. So let me, yeah, it's loading. So as I was saying, I'll try to look at the references of this person and try to see if I can get more specific things from these references. Since it's One Health, so the person most likely talked about human, animals, and environment. These are some of the, trying to see because of network. So these are the references of that particular article. I don't want to bother going to this. So this talks about, okay. So I think most of these might not really be relevant to me. Most of them are not. Personally, most of them are not. But I don't know if you understand the perspective I'm coming from. So let me try to use another example for that so that you understand. Let me look for something that is strictly environment, so that we understand the point I'm making about using a research work that is similar to yours to now get a more streamlined perspective on the work that has been done in that particular field. Let me use, sorry. Yeah, let me use this agriculture example. Let me use this agriculture. This antibiotic used in agriculture. So we know that this is strictly environment, right? So let me now go and check the references of this article. Let me check the references of this research work. So it has 331 references. That's a lot. 300, because it was a literature review. So look at this. Talks about occurrence of antibiotic as emerging contaminant substances in the aquatic environment. This is environment. Natural antibiotic resistance and contamination by antibiotic. This is environment. You understand my point of view? So the scourge of antibiotic resistance, the importance role of the environment. So as you can see, most of these articles are very much relevant to antibiotic resistance and environment, because this person there did a whole work on his own on this particular field, which means it's going to be referencing most of the articles that are important in that particular field. Taking my point of view. So this gives me a more streamlined space for literature review, and I can always pick out of these 331 references which one of them is important to my own work. Do you understand? And I will use it and I will start reading up the articles and I will start my own literature review. So the most important thing when it comes to literature review is that you know very specifically what you are going to do. If you look at my topic here, the role of environmental health in fighting antimicrobial resistance in Africa is really, it's too broad. Do you understand? It's very broad. So it means I'm going to be seeing a lot of things that look relevant, but I might not really need them for my work. So if it's very specific, for example, I'm looking at something around, this person talked about agriculture. So I'm trying to use something different now. Let me say the use of animal manure for agriculture and its contribution to antibiotic resistance. So you know that if an animal, you are feeding an animal with antibiotics and you are using the animal's dropping as what do you call it? Using the animal dropping as manure on the farm, it means that some particular part of this antibiotic component might have gone with the dunks of the animals, and it will obviously have gotten to the field. And when it gets to the field, the bacteria can react, the microorganisms or the bacteria can react to this particular antibiotic, and they can start developing resistance from that particular place. You get my point of view? So which means I'll try to understand the correlation between the animal manure used in agriculture and antibiotic resistance. You get my point of view now? So now it's very specific. So because whenever I'm going for my literature review, I will now search for agriculture and antibiotic resistance. You know, that's very specific. That's why I said in literature review, you need to be very specific. If not, you see too many things that you don't need. So now let me search for it and see, you see what I'm talking about now. Agriculture, and antimicrobial resistance. So I don't want to start too long. So let me do the last 10 years also. Okay, last 10 years. It brought 1,131 results. So now the first one talks about understanding the mechanisms and drivers of antimicrobial resistance. Very good. It's talking about, this one is more general. This article is general. So I might need it, I might not need it. But let me just move forward so that I look at something that is talking about what I'm looking for exactly. It's talking about antimicrobial resistance in healthcare, agriculture, and the environment, the biochemistry behind the headlines. So I can start to read up this article and see what it's talking about. So this talks about the spread in animal and environment. So this article is very useful for me. I can read up on it and try to gain more knowledge and insight into what I'm researching on. It's very beautiful. So next thing talks about antimicrobial resistance and population genomics in multi-dog. I know that this is, so it talks about in pig farms in mainland China. So I know that this is talking about something that's going to be very important to my work. But it's in China. So if my own is in Africa, I mean, it means I might not really use this article, but I can get some knowledge from it that I can use as discussion and other things in my literature review. So I want it to be, since it's an interactive session, and of course it's a more generic idea and everything. So I will be giving space more to questions now, so that I can easily explain some things that we might have some confusion on antimicrobial resistance. So now let me allow us to ask questions before I move on. So our question might lead us to our questions might lead me to doing things that are more relevant to us. So now, sorry, can we make more this? Okay, so now you can raise up your hand if you have a question. From what I've said so far, can please raise up your hand if you have a question. Anyone? Because I don't think I can see any hands. So it means everyone understands what I'm talking about, right?
Sorry, Caleb. Yeah, I
Hello?
want to
Okay.
ask a
Yeah, okay, I can hear you.
question. So, so for the literature review we're doing, are you looking at it for just doing like a review, like the article is just a review of on that scope, or we're looking at writing research work and this is just the literature review section of that research?
Okay. Okay, thank you. So as we did in the theoretical session, there are different ways to do literature review. Do you understand? You can do a literature review as a full research work, as we saw in one paper today. You can do it as a part of a whole research work, just you trying to understand a perspective. Do you understand my point of view? So it depends on what you want to achieve. Of course, you have all that outlined in your study design. What I'm trying to show us here today is how to really go about this literature review, like how to gather all the articles you need, whether you are doing it for a whole research work or you are doing it for a particular to understand the research gaps or to gain more knowledge for your own personal research work. You still need to go through the same process. Do you understand? So I'm trying to explain how you actually go through this process, how you streamline your review. For example, let me say I want to do my final year project now, and I have a topic. I have a project topic. Let me say my project topic is let me try to look at something. I don't want to, well, I say I'll choose from my field because that's what looks closer to me. Let me say I want to study the management of dump sites. The management of dump sites in Nigeria and how it affects groundwater. Do you understand? So now I know that is that's my own research work. That means I'm going to be going on real field research to collect data. I'm going to be going to dump sites, collect data from the groundwater, doing analysis of that water. That's my own research work. But if I want to write the research, I need to have an understanding of what people have done on this field try to gain more knowledge and more insight on how this thing happens. Take my point of view. So my literature review at that point in time is just basically seeing if no one has done this particular work before, or seeing if there's something that one person didn't do. So I might try to check their limitations or their recommendations to see if there's a way I can be more specific to solve a problem that people have not solved before in my own research work. So literature review can be for so many reasons. It can be for so many reasons. It depends on what you want to achieve with it and why you're doing it. So which means that whatever, whether it's for a full research work or is part of your research paper or is basically even for gaining knowledge. I can start to do literature review because I want to just learn, because I want to know more about this particular field. I can just do literature review because of that particular reason. So that you just have to know what you are doing to do. This is the reason why I'm doing literature review, and you go perfectly and go about it. So let me just say I want to learn about antimicrobial resistance generally and One Health. I can just type it in this search box and see everything that it brings out to me, and I keep seeing papers that are relevant. I keep reading and I keep growing my knowledge base. I jot things down, I write things down just for knowledge, because the best knowledge you can find anywhere is in papers. Do you understand? Because papers are they are highly scrutinized. You can't just publish anything. You publish what is factual and what has evidence. So if you want to learn things that are actually factual, you need to come to research papers and explore them. So did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thanks.
Okay. Any other question, please?
Um, Sorry, another question. So
Okay.
if you're using for literature review, you're using another person's literature review of another article, which is like a not a direct quoting of what was the original paper. Would that would you how would you like reference? Would you be saying that it was the original? Would you have to like go back to the original paper to reference it to your own review, or you could use the person that you know, like the intermediary paper as the
Okay.
as
I think I understand the
this or
question.
as the reporting paper? Yeah.
Okay. I think I understand your question. So yeah, you are saying if, as I said, that I can use someone's paper, for example, this paper that talks about understanding the mechanisms and drivers of antimicrobial resistance. If I want to see the paper that this person cited to get more insight into what this person did and see if those ones can even help me more in my research work. So it's not that I'm not like quoting from this person's work. All this person's article just did was that I'm going to check the person's references. Let me try to see what person's references are. I don't know why it's not at this side. Trying to see. So I don't waste time. Let me check another one. So this is antimicrobial resistance in One Health perspective. So if this is the article I want to use, and I just check the references, I don't know why it's not showing me the references. I don't know why it's not showing me the references. Anyways, let me go to the real sites. Let me go to the real site. So now you are not going to like, it's just like you are reading any other new paper. The same way I open this paper, I'm going to open the paper I'm looking for, that person's references. I'm going to go back to the paper's main page. Do you get it? So this is
Yes.
paper I'm coming from, and I've already opened it here. I don't know why it's taking so long to load. I don't know. I think network is not so good. So okay. So let me just try to see if there's something that makes it simpler for me. Network is not friendly at all. So okay. Right. Okay, yeah, I think this one has references. So now this is the article I'm looking at, right? This is the publication I'm looking at. Then can you see this is the reference? These are the references of this publication. I click on it. Shows me 70 references. So now if I think this particular article is relevant to my work, I just go to the articles page, click on this PubMed, take me to the page for this particular article itself, and I can read the abstract or even read the main paper if I need it. So it's not like I'm going to, it's just in another paper that I'm looking at. But because somebody has done that work, I might know that because the person did his own work on environmental health and One Health, it means that most of the person's references will also be on this particular topic. So I can see something that I need from this person's references also, and it helps my work too. It helps my work to get easier and everything. Do you understand the answer now?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Any other person, please? And if you want to speak, you can try to drop it in the chat box.
Okay, good evening. I have two
Yeah, I can hear
questions
you.
actually.
I can hear you.
So I wanted to ask if like literature review only involves like what you were doing with Microsoft, the title, the link, is that all like that is necessary for it?
At all.
Then how does tools like Microsoft Excel come
Mm.
in literature? Thank you.
Okay. So it doesn't just revolve around what I was doing in Microsoft Word. No, I said, okay, let me start from this place. What the whole aim of literature review is that I'm trying to search for information and evidences on the work I want to do. My own work might be that this literature review that I want to do is my own paper. I just want to do a review on all the papers that are existing on this field and publish it. That might be my own work. Do you understand? My own work might be that I want to just gather knowledge to help my own personal research on a similar topic. Do you understand? That might be my research work. So now when I get to the for example, look at this search I did. It gave me 11,303 searches, 303 results, for example. And of course, this is not everything. I don't need everything that is here. So now if I look at a topic, for example, antimicrobial resistance and population genomics of multi-drug resistant Escherichia coli in pig farms in mainland China, this thing might be important to my work and it might not be. So if I think this thing looks like something that is important to my work, so because I'm looking at how animal manure affects how it contributes to antimicrobial resistance, I might think this is very this works for me. And I'll since I know that this works for me now, I can decide to copy out this title. Do you understand? And copy out the link. Why? So that after I finish, because I can't leave this place and go and read the whole full Google PDF and now come back to resume my lecture review. It doesn't make sense. It breaks my work in the middle. So what I'll first do is that let me show you guys something. I'm working on a research on infectious diseases. So I'll have to reshare my screen. This meeting might end soon, so we have to join back with the same link because the duration is almost over. So let me quickly show you something. I hope I can do that before the meeting ends. Coming, coming, coming. So this thing, so let's just join again. It will log us out now. Let us join again. So then don't let me bother sharing the screen. It's going to log us out in less than 1 minute. So just click on the link and join again. I'm going to explain everything she said when we resume the next session. So just join again.